Alright, muri yeZimbabwe kusangana kwatiri kuita zvakare ipo pano pazimunyusi update apo patinoda kupa mafirst hand update anonga ari kuitika munyika yedu yeZimbabwe. So kana uri mutsva usabve pano usina kusubscribe kulike nekushare, so ndiri kuya ndakati batanidzei maupdates akati wandei pasame video. Update redu rekutanga ndera magenerals vasiri kugutsikana nekukwidзiridzwa kwakaitwa Sean Mnangagwa kuti aite lieutenant colonel. Tobva tati update yedu yechipiri muri yeZimbabwe. Ndofunga muri kuona zviri kuitika zvinhu zvinomira zvakanaka. Temba Muliswa ari kuzama nepaanogona napo kuti ange achisideline vanhu vari mucabinet because yari kutotsvaga vacant mucabinet imomo. Tiri kuona kuti akatanga kumhanya naTinoma Chakaire, now ari kumhanya futi naJoji Charamba, dzoka futi kuna Joji Charamba, tichaenda kunaurwa idzodzo muri yeZimbabwe. So tiri kuona panapa mamiriro zvakaita muri yeZimbabwe. Tomboti munzwe Joyce Ngwena achitaura panapa, timunzwe kuti ane umuono upi.
Potential successor to President Emmerson Mnangagwa.
I'm glad that you're talking about potential successor, because succession politics is basically based on the Congress. Nonetheless, you know, the issue of corruption in Zimbabwe has been a major issue, even with global implications, as far back as the Mugabe regime. There's always been a feeling that the ZANU-PF government does not take the issue of corruption seriously, and it became part of the hierarchy of dissatisfaction around Zimbabwe's global status in terms of even the sanctions. Some people are arguing that part of the reason why this country is sanctioned is because there is so much corruption. Now that there is a second republic, and in 2017, 2018, Mnangagwa himself was campaigning on the basis that he was going to make corruption a top item on his governance agenda. And we were even excited when the Anti-Corruption Commission was resourced, right? And credible, retired judges were put in place. But that never saw the light of day. In other words, while the government or the president was talking about issues of corruption and how disgusting corruption is, there wasn't any commitment in so far as the government institutions themselves. There were no convictions. If they were arrested, they were very tentative. Big tenders used to be, issued out, and there was no due diligence on people. So when then Chiwenga suddenly comes up and starts talking about the importance of a governance process that has no corruption, everybody needs to sit up and listen. But the question being, whatever he's saying, can it be implemented? Because we have an anti-corruption commission, we have the security systems that are in place, the police, every institution should be in place. But things have been going on with just a few individuals seemingly winning all the tenders, and some of the money being taken, and people not being brought to court, others being brought to court and being given bail. So the Chigananda phenomenon has breathed in a new life in the way that Zimbabweans should perceive the seriousness of attending to the scourge of corruption. But there are still no convictions, there are still no arrests, there are still no... It's not very clear how he's going to move this rhetoric from talk to action.
Muri yeZimbabwe tira kuti tiende kunauwa yatawana Temba Muliswa pano tinyatse kuona kuti zvinyatsa kumbofamba sei. Sezvo tiri kuziva kuti Temba Muliswa ari kuzama nepaanogona napo kuti anga achiwana vacant mucabinet, because ari kuzama nepaanogona napo kuti pangoite eni anongofaiwa chete, because iyezve kutonga Temba Muliswa anozvida zvisingaite. So tiri kuona panapa pakanyorwa kunzi
implemented to completion. Do we know right now with my programs I don't have, apart from being given a blanket, yekunzi ND, ND, kana even NDS 1 yacho, because that's NDS 2. Pa NDS 1, my projects are akamirira and happy, akakompletwa here. Where is the evidence that my projects are complete? Because that's NDS 2, my projects are actually happy. Avari kutiudza kuti zoti maprojects ada complete and happy. Tozonyatsotika because 2030 is the year of reckoning, where we need to then tick kuti zvesure zvatikaenda through izvi. We wanted to complete this project 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and this project has been completed. Zviripo ere zvinhu zvacho. Do people even know what this bill, is even, talking about? And when they say continuity of policies, how about if that policy is not working for the Zimbabwean people? Why do you want to continue a policy that isn't working for the Zimbabwean people? How about the legislative, framework? What if it is not conducive for the Zimbabwean people? Why do we want to be subjected to the things that some of us we know we do not agree with, and some of us we know Kuti, it's just a ruse? There's nothing that is going to be completed come 23rd. Why are we being put in this position? It tells you Kuti, this has got nothing to do with what they're spelling out in that bill. This is why that bill is being said by folks here to say it is an constitutional way of wanting to amend, the constitution. An unconstitutional way of amending a constitution. Because what they are talking about and what they are presenting, to us, as to make any sense. That's one tamana April 2026. That's one. Tasara no vuru wemakore. About 3.5 years. There's a demo there inonzi demo ravari kutadza kupedza rinenge ari kumatebhero inonzi demo inonzi
demo raSmith
inonzi
saka chiramba kubuda but iri padhuze dzese. That project, it has been there, it's over a century now.
Saka, where do they begin to want to where do they begin to want to say kutivo tinema projects anofanira kupedzwa, and yet we've got projects that were started during the start, Angoya Smith, that have not been completed now. What projects are they talking about? Wange 6 and 7 chaiyo. Is it functional to the max? Each function. So what are they talking about? Anyway. Apeno. Oh no, I won't but these are the situations that make me drink.
Now you can drink when necessary.
Right. Magneto. Can Antonio if it were me interviewing, that guy. And that'd be the 30 minutes now. I give it to Tonio. I know he's a patient man. But that dude, in the first 2 minutes, I would have said, thank you very much. I want to move on. This is, ZT, ZITF. I want to go. I know about it. Yeah. I didn't hear bye. If I'm not patient in it, I don't second decision to journalist.
And that's how it was not making sense. Aida kumbolinka Congress, great Congress, umbola kuisiya, uri kumuna data zochika ichecho. Ndo vanhu vacho na vanenge vakananziswa sugar.
Andizvo ndakasarudzwa nestrategic ambiguity. Come on. Explain it. How did saka maisangana kupi? Wakapedza kutaura nachamisa wacho rini? Or I last spoke to Chamisa in 2020 Chiwe.
2017.
And I'm like, dude, are you really serious, right now?
But in Doma Zimbabweans, my Zimbabweans sometimes can go on over shorega so. Because that thing is gonna be seen all over, son. Because right as Pedem Zimbabwe, it will be seen all over and that these are the type of Zimbabweans. Listen to what he said. It does not make sense. And that guy is saying very soon Munetano as Shamis Mukamuna Futi through Shabangu and got my favor and Ganzi Parliament in Zimbabwe. So I don't know. Sorry, I was gonna say something, but don't you guys know?
Anyway, all right. Magneto, do you want to come in?
Thanks, Uncle Jet. Anyway, I'm just going to be very quick. I'm hearing, especially Warakashi and Mama interviews, people, they are always giving reference to South Africa, saying, oh, this political system is being used to South Africa and stuff like that. Do you know South Africa in Africa is the highest ranked for political assassinations? And in the world, it sits at the same table with Mexico and Colombia. So I don't know whether these people know the political system actually hype it's in the highest number of killings and assassinations to South Africa. And imagine Colombia and Mexico, that come in because they are drug cartels. But in the world, South Africa, Colombia, Mexico, they're in the top 3. So how good is this system? Killings like this. For me, I don't know why. Do you know? 20 my elections. I think they were my municipal elections in South Africa in May 2024. In the run-up to those elections, about 16 councillors were killed. Some political system in Zimbabwe. And what he told Guti, we want to do away with political violence in Zimbabwe. For me, it doesn't make sense. The example actually is the West. In my West, my killings are singated, but in the P as a case study, and the window P as a buy. Okay, that's the best. We have to do the best. We have to reach to that level. But it's the most violent one. Anyway, that is wrong.
What about?
Ndatopedza zvangu tiri kunzi tiri tiite system ine makillings akadaro iyo ndo yatiri kunzi titore iyoyo what more? Because anyway, give an example. KuZimbabwe inini ndovhotera MP pamwe ndiri munhu weopposition. Ndozoziva kuti MP iyeye avhotera Mnangagwa.
Aiwa handizo ndomasarudzira munenge maita kaimiri.
Saka for example, vanhu vekubudiriro, how do they feel now? Vakavhotera chimai chiya ichi, and chimai chiya ichi zvino chakatonotweka chikatonopiwa hacho motikari. And vanhu and imagine kuti munhu ari kurewadiwa kupemberera borehole in town of all the things. Maybe these people, they were voting vachiti no, isusu we want proper functioning system, we want water from the tap, but munhu yakuti no inda kukunzira borehole, and that person is being rewarded for bringing the borehole kwamuri mimi. So how are those people going to look at here? How are those people going to is their vote gone? They know that vanhu vokubudiriro, is it budiriro west or what? Their vote already more than maybe 20,000 people. Their vote already is on Mnangagwa.
Yeah, mafanizi ega. Anyway, they get in the Sana one gap. Do you want to make your contribution now? Cannot Mabo.
No, you. Nah, I'm okay. It's all right.
All right, okay. Ndaraji.
Hello, hi, Uncle Jed and everyone else. muri race sister kwenda ku Workers Day musi wa 1 May tichino nekunyunyuta. We are happy kuti
Munopembererwa tina mawekazi ere muZimbabwe.
Amdara hatina mawekers, hapana chinenge chiripo, panenge paina secretary general chete. So you see that's the fallacy. Vamnangagwa Mwari ngave naye. Handizi yangu kuti vari kuwirirana sei navachiwenga. Asi ZANU-PF is ZANU-PF. But we are mobilizing. We are going to mobilize ne 2030. Tiri kumobilize, tiri kuda kuita. Indokutaurira zvechokwadi zvandendi handida zvekusiyirira nekuti pamwe munogona kubatsira along the way. Takamirira ma-court cases. Tiri kumobilize big time. I hope kuti tinowana ma-finances ekuti tikwanise kuunza vanhu from all over Zimbabwe, because that's the only constraint, that we don't have as much support, financial support. But we're not really going out looking for that, because we know for now, before we launch, it will be very difficult to have people coming to assist. But we are.
Is ZCTU going to be leading this or?
Yes, ZCTU will be leading. I will send you videos. If it goes as it did last year, it was
Right.
all by ZCTU. But this time in Harare, it's going to be, that part down there, could DZ Ziwaresekwa, there's a stadium there. That's where we are going. That's where we were last year. They
Right.
normally lead, yes. It was only the other years, a few years back, when there was that lady who was pro ZANU-PF. No, there's a guy. Oh, yeah, I got beef. Even last year she wasn't there. Yeah, there's a new guy who is pro us. You see, last year we had a very good. But there are no workers. You know that there are informal traders that will come in, and a few those that call themselves workers. But there are no workers in Zimbabwe. The whole system is informalized. Even those that are in government, they are informal workers anyway. You'll be shocked, because whilst they are at work, they'll be busy doing their own private things. So there's nothing going on in Zimbabwe. And I heard you talk about Shanghai Dam, that one in Lupani, that has gone for about 20, 30 years being constructed, and still is being constructed. And that's the same thing with quite a number of dams. Most of them were planned and during the Rhodesian era, and they are still, I don't know what these guys are up to, but there's massive looting. I hear now what they announce is that they've got lithium sulfate being sold, or battery stuff being exported. That's a good thing. Then you don't know with the Chinese, because their operations are opaque, they are never open. But yes, Zimbabwe has done a first shipment of lithium sulfate, and that's Acadia Mining, the one in Gormons, if you know. I don't know what's happening with that Bikita Minerals. I thought that was the biggest one, and they would be the first ones to announce their change. But what worries me most is what's going on with our iron. We sold all our iron deposits to this Danso, if you know Manizo, Chris Manizo Mtrangwa. I'm told, this came out of Temba Muliswa the other day. I'm told their gross revenues are going up to $1.4 trillion a year. The video is there. And yet our economy still struggles when we have an entity that produces that much. It's a pity. Again, the ownership structure is opaque. I would love one day to have a forensic audit. I hear that so much from Advocate Duma Boko, the president of Botswana. I wish such happens in Zimbabwe, and we see what comes out from Mutapa, they continue looting through Mutapa, and such things like Manize. Manize, you'd think by now they would have listed even at least at the Victoria Falls Stock Exchange, because that one is a special economic zone. There are so many tax breaks. So my real fear and worry is the Chinese debt. How much? Because if we are, which we are anyway, we are the largest lithium producer in Africa. We are the sixth in the world. So we are forced to reckon in EV vehicles and the tech industry. And yet what's going on there is very opaque. You know, with the destabilization of the global economy, Zimbabwe comes in and rakes in very premium right up there, and it needs astute management to salvage anything to change the country's fortune and fate. I hear South Africans are now importing their oil from America, circumventing the port of Hormuz. They are getting it cheaper. I wish the Zimbabwean government did that level of engagement with the Americans. Then probably cost of production would be low, because right now we haven't had any inflation figures. But again, if they are being reported, they will be reported in US dollars. And then they will then record their two-digit inflation or single-digit inflation, which this Mtuli crazy guy did or reported last time. But my other major worries, which is really scaring me, is what happens if there's no, what happens to us in Zim if there's no a conclusive agreement between Iran and America, because here I hear the Iranians have got another leverage again. They could pull up the Hormuz tile by cutting the undersea cables. They just need the scissors to stop the whole world. I don't know what happens to Zimbabwe before we finish off this political upheaval that's obtaining at the minute. But other than that, I will advise you guys that we are mobilizing for all the court cases. We've agreed, with fellow comrades that we need to mobilize, because this is our other big push, on the way to reversing the 2030 bill. Once we launch, it will be exceedingly simple to mobilize. And I will assure Zimbabweans that even if it goes through, which I doubt it will, we are having plan B, C, D, and E. This is a struggle. It will take time. Some people will get frustrated, but we are on it. And I think we are at the minute on the winning side, even when we have not launched as the alternative opposition or alternative future government. We still have a lot of traction. People are following us. People understand us. But I think, our 180 days are fast coming to an end. You will hear in due course. I think there's something, a very big shift in May, this coming month. And then thereafter, there will be subsequent developments that will then chart the future. And I think, and I know very well that we are going to fight tooth and nail this draconic bill. But for now, even without, we are mobilizing. We will ask you, the diaspora. We know Sister Chennai and others had a big event at the Strand, and I saw my brother Dara B. He was there as well. I think please, if you can keep such pressure, it will assist us here at home as well. And definitely we are having meetings ourselves tomorrow and day after tomorrow. But again, it's just trying to set up the structure for all the court cases. I was speaking to some of the litigants. They are upbeat, and I love the spirit. And all this discussion, Ango Jed, I never heard you guys comment about Louis Uriri and his sudden shift and change from ZANU-PF, or maybe he was just a professional representing anyone that brings in credible cases. But now, I now know very well, or very authentic, that he's going to be defending litigant Prince Tobacco Banda and quite a number of others. There was no major talk about his link and professionalism. Thank you.
Right. Thank you very much. Do appreciate. Signora, do you want to come in?
Yes, Nyamashish. Uyakwazi ngiyakhuluma mina Nyamashish.
Khuluma Tizo.
Chekutanga torumidza kamwari ndo ati panguva inekutaure panapa sangani panapa nokutenda siyabonga abaqoqi behlelo vaunganidza pfungwa nokuronga tiwe panapa taure nyaya yezimbabwe but chekutanga tofanira kuti tidzamise pfungwa tege kuti havaparidzi vakuru vedu vanga vakachenjera vanga vaine tsumo dzavo tinotamba munosekerera mwana achipisa musha kusekerera munhu achipinda negejo musvondo right ozosekerera munhu achibata mazama amai vako mai vanonzi zimbabwe a pregnant woman which is the shape yemasvingo ezimbabwe where all of us are in that womb and you allow someone to come and tamper with that. Hear me well, I'm not blaming anyone. I'm very eloquent and Stora Madimikira. None of us here is responsible for the traumatic events that are countless that the people of Zimbabwe have gone through since
Vaenda signor. Mafonegba.
Andripan takatambura kwemakore mazhinji. There's a reason why muchigara chiti tine rombo, we have a beautiful country, good people. We're not who we are. Zvezvibubu zvese zvaiwa musafunga ndo zvatiri. Very loving people. Vaimbi vedu vafemberi vanoona zviri kumberi. Taizive kuti takatambura zvikuru kwemakore mazhinji. Munoziva nyamashi sokutambura hatina kutanga kutambura 1980. We've been struggling in our own country inonzi nyika yechivavarira. Now Zimbabwe. Ozonzwa president vaMuzenda. It's late now. Vafunge kuti president unoti kunozova rini kuti tidya nhoko dzezvironda. That is a cry on behalf of all of us. Now today, because of research and all that, I know some they're struggling to come to terms with sure Zimbabwe is the richest soil on the planet. And I'm not even apologetic and proudly so Zimbabwean. I know Zimbabwe ndio yakatobata nyika dzese pasi rose ukada kutarisa kana nuclear unowana muZimbabwe. Unowana vanhu vanoauthoriza mapayments kuIMF maZimbabweans variko. But mubvunzo ndokuti why tiri kutambudzika? Why? What is going on wrong here? What is going wrong? Where did we go wrong? Hey? Ana mutukudza kati chido chenyu here Mwari kuti vamwe vanodya vachiguta. Saka handina kumbofungira kuti tichasvika pakuona zvaimbwa namutukudzi kuti vamwe vari kudya zvechokwadi nokuzozvironda vachitambudzika muZimbabwe 2026. Vamwe vari kupfachura zvavo vachiita kupfachura vanadzambara mafuta. Now I want to bring you up to speed. Ndanzwa mukuru abva panapa mukwasha wangu. Mukwasha ndotombofara kumeso kutoti tingotaura nachokwadi. Zvamanga muchitaura zvese zvikazvi. To what end? Who is benefiting? What growth are we talking about? Is it even necessary to announce what we've done, this and that, tatengesa zvakati, taka? To me, zvoratidza kuti tikusekerera benzi nerinopisa musha. We've got a small group of people led by Owen Muda and Sean Mnangagwa for now, who are now planning kuti vachironga manje loot after Mnangagwa afa. Handikusore zvimbwana nazvo musomoti pandikutaura open secret yamunoziva, because we are failing to understand what's going on here. Small group of people taking advantage of this old man. Apera basa kaMnangagwa. This speaks to why are we not looking at the end game? Kwakananga nyaya ndekupi. Tavaraidzwa for the longest time achaenda kumasoro ne2030. What is 2030? Kanongori rhetoric statement because zvakunzi aiwa 2035. Mapepa achifamba totatsikirwa necab, but we are not even, maybe correct me if I'm wrong, handisi kunzwa masentiments ekuti omana vakataura panapa chari achiti asi nyora vanga vachiti mapepa ari kufamba. Iye akatotaurawo zvinhu zvandakatoseka ngati akati chari akati munenge makutongwa naana Shoni, vana venyu vachingotorwa nevakadzi venyu. That part iyoyo, I don't know if we feel it, we predict kuti sure, is this the Zimbabwe that we are now going to be witnessing? But I think the end game ndoinoita kuti timhanye nespidi yembwana ato. Ukaona kuti kune mvura iri kuuya mvimbi yekuti inovaya vanhu ichingonaya, unotsvaga pane bako pekuti ugadzirire before that happens. But I think tiri kufamba hedu slowly, Michael Jackson. Handisi kusora, but the question is, am I hearing correctly? People vari kutotaura zvemafigures nechi, handisi kutaura ndarachi. But we seem to be so sure kuti ava vanhu vari kujoka, havasi kudzora tsvimbo. Now I think what needs to be done nyamashisha ndezvekungo dini zvaigona ndaikupaiwo pfungwa, ndaikupai mari kuti tione kuti panapa chinhu chinoda kungomiswa ichi, totoona wei kuti tione mukana, kwete wekubvisa vaMnangagwa kana kubvisa that is an understatement. Kutodzura system yacho zvese navaMnangagwa nezano yacho zvishe. I'm very serious and I know what I'm talking about because vaMugabe vakafa vakatodyiwa nemuchenji. So we've got a very good case study with no. Yes, Mugabe was just answerable. Yeah, we blame him, his grave, kana vanosvipira mate paguva pavo kana muchikwegwe is fine, but nhamo yedu ramba iripo, haisi kupera, toramba ichinhuhwa. VaMnangagwa vachamuka vakafa kana kuti vachangozosvika pakuti haachange vachikuendera ndaraunda yavo yaakutrickered farm to be futuristic. Contingency planning yekuti are we saying kufa kwaMnangagwa kana kubuda kwavo muofisi zvapera? Hazvina. So I don't think that we've come to the point yekuti takuda kunyatsoona kuti panapa, how do we stop this nonsense? How do we remove this system? Handifungi kuti kana ndisati ndazviona, maybe someone here can correct me. The idea, my comrades, is no longer is an PF thing. This is not politics. Hamuna politics in Zimbabwe. Saka ndikakunzwa uchitaura zvekuti chichi democracy, tikadai tozovhota, tongokutaridza kuti ababa ava mai ava dzirimo dzese, not in a bad way. Unoti mukore unoshuva tovavarira kunovhota. How are we going to protect? And are we not hearing the tone nyanya zvoda kubvunzai? Is it coming from me or zviri pavanhu ava vari kutaura kutoti actually kana referendum yacho hatitomboneed kuiita? Are they not telling us kuti goodbye to elections? And to me, they're telling us which sina chinonzi my-elections. So what varaidza for the longest time kuri kuti vanhu chaivo vatinotaura taitavabvunza kuti saka manje maitinetsererei neterm limit and all that, because the end game has got nothing to do with term limit. The end game is vada kunyatsovhara musuwo wonyatsoisa blocker so much that mubva manyarira kuti tonho. That should bring anger iri organized. Anger iri organized nekuti unosiya zvese. I hope people are listening to understand. I'm not advocating for violence here. Kana munhu wagumbuka kubasa chaiko chako nokuti handisi kuenda kubasa, adzimba kuti zviri kubasa ngazvigara. And that also relates the reaction that people can, sure. And handisi basa rangu kuti ndisizwisika. Someone ndiye anenge kuti okay, how do we then compact and make sure kuti zvitogwa nasinyoro zvitogwa nanyamashishwa, papanoti inini tine basa. But ukandibvunza mubvunzo kuti sinyoro, how do we do it, it means hausi kunzwa. Ini ndiri kutaura message kuti there is a path yakambofollowewa nemovement for democratic change, yekuti kana vanhu vakati hatisi kuda kwakangoti ahoi nhasi akuendwi kubasa, kwakusingaendwi kubasa. So we need to really pick our pieces and go back and say, where did we go wrong? How was MDC captured? Because it was not really necessarily a political party. And I'm happy now I'm able to speak eloquently, because there are people now who are saying Tati report, this thing was never meant to be a political party. Zimbabwe yakuda kuti tingoti zvinoda kuitwa zviitwe. Ari makare kare taitoenda kuhondo chaiko kunobata pfuti dzaitaurwa namutsvangwa dziya, but mapressure achinja manje. But anything equivalent, stay away. It's equivalent. It's something that speaks to whatever it takes without shedding blood. But my casualties are shaking in a desperate bid to stop. If we don't aim at that, I'm telling you, hana dzakutorwa manje, ndakutorwa tsakawanda. Hapasina kuseka umwana nasikana apa. Madays, mapepa aya akutoda kunosainwa. That's how painful we should speak. Tofa kutorwadzisana kuti nguva yakusvika nguva iya. But I think I'm still hopeful nyamashisha as I learned. Indotaurisa ndichatonyorwawo mubhuku rezimbabwe kuti hapana murumaiti kana chinhu chikachaya mukati muzanu peshu kana kupi. But I think this is what those who listen to understand can witness. Kuti kana in our history, in our lifetime, hatinambosvika pakunzwa nyaya dzemi-intelligence. Kana zvinhu zvadaro zvafumuka nyamashisho, ukaona ngoma yorira zvakadaro, zvinofanirwa kutotipa more energy. I see some people have given up, some people are like, zvaramba. Let's not lose hope. Intelligence, nyaya dzekuintelligence dzakubuda vanhu vachitaura kuti vari kupanana mari. It means argument yekuti mari dziri kupananwa. It should never, hatifaniri kubva tata, from now onwards hatifaniri kuti tisane naro, because it's now evidence, it's now in the public domain. Nyaya the system is what I'm talking about. The system, it's divided. There's a stalemate. But the problem is what we don't have in Yamashisha, chese panapa. It's a call yekuti takara tine majournalists edu, intelligence team edu, iri kutotipa macables ekuti guys, mukaona kunyarara kwaita mutsvangwa kuya nezuro zvakazodai zvakadai. This is information that we should be gathering right now. Because kunyarara kwachoka, it's not in the ordinary. But that being said, and ndazvandataura, we need to know kuti vari kunetsana chii, obeti mpofu chii chikuitika. Because these are the people that facilitated this nonsense yataanaine, this government, which is not acceptable by many people, which has tormented people, which has been rejected by many people. But administratively, it's in power, but otherwise, it's not accepted by the nation, by the people of Zimbabwe majority. It's a fact. So that statement should, if I want to tell you, poto yenenge yakuda kuibva. Kana kunamata zvonzi gadzirire hamuzivi musine nguva. I'm seeing a situation yekuti guys, tikaita zvekutamba tinokandirwa imwe joka yeGNU, masikati machena. totanga futi kuti ndokunga zvakufaya. We no longer want ziya zvekuti hanzi munhu anonzi kuchipatara nyamashi zvonzi anhasi ambotya banana. We now want Zimbabwe to get working, and the only way is to find a way yekuti no macitizens isusu pamamonya ipapo. Ndosaka ndakati inini I wish to communicate kuti kana tikanzwa zvinenge zvatosvorana manje zviya zvakaita 2017, we should run. Takapfeka mapatapata, wakapfeka mapijama, unzi handei kuZimbabwe. Kondeke dzazara. We need to go back to Zimbabwe and put everything to hold. Kuti aiwaka, ho. Hatichatarisi Chiwenga, but ndiye lead to the story. Kuti kana Chiwenga atitira stalemate, and the money is Mushe, it's not Chiwenga anogona kunge akafa futi Chiwenga, but it's more like saying, as an example, Chiwenga akaita stalemate, not again to lead Zimbabwe, to push us to another path consensus, so that we draw a line. Tikatora 6 months set up Mirana, it's okay. Yakatomira economy yacho, it's okay. Let's not worry about kuti hey, kana chifa nenzara, but I'm sure kana vanhu vasvika palevel iyoyo tichawana way. Tichanetsana mumba medu, we'll have a family meeting. And I wish and I hope we'll say all the old wood, anyone who's been part of the government or part of the politics of the land, kumasure advise now. These boys and girls need to be mentored in Yamashisha. We need not just to talk. Mabasa edu ngaonekwe panapa. We are very sincere, we are apologetic. Because if we don't do that, I think why do you want to be in leadership? You senior. This is not the time to start saying all these people wanama komichi vanani, they are brothers, but kumasuro uko. But I don't know how best we can do it Nyamashisha, but ini ndatopedza ndatotaura kuti tangomirira kuti Mwari dei varamba vachingota kuti zvifumuke. Ini ndototi zvafumuka. I don't think it's a mistake that ED was not wearing a scarf. I think munhu aitodzingwa basa kana asina kupfeka. I'm just speaking randomly kuti pane zvikuitika kana tikanzota zvikingoitika zvega naturally kubatana kuya kwekuti it's not cheap, something has to happen. Takakandirwa cab iyo yakatonaka chaizvo yaita kuti tipuse tise musoro pamwe chete, tangotarisana masvanhu kongonya, but something has shaken the nation of Zimbabwe. What if it shakes further? Tikazonzwa kuti vanhu vanyangarika vatiza kana kuti vavharirana kwekoko, because panenge paine vamwe vane simba vane zvivindi hatikwanisi pano. They are there in the arena. The question is, when that happens, are we ready then to do what we've been saying? Guys, nyika inovakwaniswa citizens. Tiri mbweni, but ndoziva kuti mbweni chaidzo ndinozoti kana uya anga achinetsa dzotanga kugwesha dzisvika padhuze chaya or whatever. But what I'm saying is Mashisha, pakuda kunyatsofunga panapa kuti panapa pakangovhurika mukana chitika totongoti ho. Other than that, I yet to think of what and I use him Chari what he said. And ndiri kutongwa naTunashoni, handidi kuchitongwa na whatever nevamwe vasingazivi. It is not their show, it is our show. Tichange tiripo, we need to be there. Let me yield my mic, my Zimbabweans. It's not I am on one. It's not a one-man band. It's not a one-day event. Usavarire kuti unovavarira kuti Zimbabwe inake kuti uzowana something and a sweet. No. It means also zvakuita. Vavarira kuti vana vechidika vaonewo mushini mukaka, because those who died, who sacrificed, kuti tive tinokwanisa kutaura pano paNyamasvisva, their aim was not to be part of the echelon. Murume andakapfeka, that's what he speaks to. I don't care, you mean senior, I don't care. I don't care to be part. I just want to see everyone happy. Everyone. Vakuru vadiki, but let's be clear here. What is it that we want? We want to give young people a chance. Kana titadza kuwirana ipapo tongotadza kuwirana, because that's the end game yedu macitizen. End game yavo versus yedu. We should draw lines. Let me yield my mic. Many thanks.
Yeah, thank you very much. Pane vamwe vachida kutaura here? Vachine shungu? Because I'm about to go.
Nongoti hangu kwasho hangu mudharaji musaite mafeelings because haregero tichapanana kana Zimbabwe. We need to use whoever as an example. But kana muda kutaura taurai zvemafiga but mutongoziva kuti hapana mafiga akutaura. Zvinhu zvangofanana namutuli neIMF achifurirana kuti there's growth nyika iri kunhuhwa kuti pu. How do you talk of growth when the poverty data line is where it is? An economy which is run by a few individuals, but it doesn't make sense. I think even Yamashisha, we need my experts to how do you measure growth in the hands of the informal sector? There's something that is not making sense. I think those they are working in cahoots in the apex, the pyramid, the IMF. So these guys, they are turning a blind eye on Zimbabwe. They're benefiting from Zimbabwe. So hakuna zvakadaro kuti IMF inondoza economy ne-hyperinflation yakadaro. Something is amiss. So ndaraji, aiwa, don't worry. Mwana makatora takakupai mukwasha, but hatisi kuita zvokukama panapa. Tikungotaura nechikwadi chemari. Many thanks.
Right. Okay, guys. Kana basi na kutaura kainene ngida kubai. Badala ni mangwan. Thank you very much for the space and for the show. Let us meet again tomorrow. But don't ya nanga ndinayo. Kana mjinga mabata so mabata. Ona uwe na uda with that. Kinene ndolo kinene. Lelo ba. Anyinga no ba. Ko en udochi. Tore nya ko dis.
Iline rango jera.
Iwe.
Kwingwani mati raisa anambotaura mataura.
Jana zinadona.
Mati raisu.
Raisu ndani.
Ano raisa mumuzive.
Ko ni requested.
Kana sina kurequesta again taure zvawo. Ndoda kuti svondo rine richipera. Vanhu angojera kuti next space atiri kuita ka. Next space atiri kuita. Hapana ari kutaura paspace panapa kana asina kutiratidza screenshot yekushare change radio kuWhatsApp group rekumhuri kwake. Azvinzwa angojera kuti.
Ndikuzwa.
Space atiri kuita next space. Hazvina basa kuti wakadzidza sei, kuti uri dofo sei, kuti uri nefesi yakadii, kuti une varume vangani, vakadzi vangani, uri wechi. Kana usina screenshot inoti change, inoti resistant radio. Yakaiswa screenshot paWhatsApp. Hapana anovhura muromo wake. Tinogona kutoimba nziyo musi wacho iwo kana kuridza ngoma. Pasina ari kutaura. Next space. Iriko rinhango Gerald space inotera.
Mangwana.
Right. Saka mangwana vanhu vese tsvagai munogona kuuya kuinbox kwangu kutsvaga link resistant radio kana chii. Kana musina zvenyu kuita izvozvo musauya. Tada kufamba nedzinodhonza. Hatina kubopa madhonge ekuti anotsvagirwa rimwe dhonge rinofamba riri pasaidhi risina zvariri kuita richingofamba richida kungoinspire vanhu kuti vafambe. Toda kubopa 4 mombe dzinodhonza. Ndodzatiri kuda. Kwete kungonakirwa nekutaura panapa musingate action. Mangwana moti muri kuita nezvei chii chiri kufamba. Taneta nekunzwa kugona kwenyu neeloquence dzenyu. Imbosharai link resistant radio. Ndozvanangosumukira chete angojera kuti. Kana pasina kushare link musauye endai kugeneral chat kana kuenda kuWhatsApp group rekumhuri kwenyu munotaurira nyaya dzenyu ikoko. Pana asina kukuonai. Sorry angojera kuti ndakudzingirai vanhu venyu. Kana vasina kushare chete resistant radio hatisina kuvaona. Thank you angojera kuti.
But GT Travel.
Sorry, it's a quick one. I wanted to find out how far I would download the
I
space.
want to and just download after this and then look to me right in the link. But I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna Microsoft Office.
I want in office.
Yeah, what right. Come on.
You know, it I say office
you need to be subscribed to Microsoft Office. But in a link, download and my X in spaces. What I find in inside. Did I download that? Because I'm going to upload it anyway. Resistant radio, but I'll share the copy with you.
Only God.
Okay, no problem.
Unele link resistant radio.
Yes.
Good. Mangwana pa unoya ndula kuona wakashare. Ne group ne muri yenyu.
Inini muri yangu ndakavabvisira vese mombe dzecheka ukama because man nonsense. Saka
Mangwana ugona kutadza kutaura kaiwe.
Kwa nditi ndakabvisa cheka ukama here saka ichida ukama nawo.
Unongo wakashare. Hatina kuti kana washare link yateererwa nevanhu vangani. Chatiri kungoda kuti ishewe.
Yeah, no. We'll do that. It's a good idea.
Dzanya dzenyu dzimwe wedzo mangwana kungoshare chete kufamba nekushare resistant radio ndo zvatiri kuita mangwana ende mangwana ndendakadya mangwana I think I'll be very serious angojera kuti hatitombeta kana zvemawhiski kana zvemawaini tinoda kuya panapa takaita kudya chipembere chakadya mukonde mirai muone chero vanonzi vana machiraisi vanotaura kana vasina kushare chete lingi vasitaure panapa.
Yeah, starting in the next month, ningina baking from Paga, ningina pizza, ningibasa rangu. Saka ningita kunyatu itama coordination in Yara Simba. Saka we'll try and make sure with everything. Ningina wapa. What in Nagandaka Wandirwa in the basa guys, apologies. Arangara Wandira. After I'm going to get pizza, but because there's a workload, the actual limited vibe. But I think by after Bengali, they are two pinda. You saw 4. Going forward, I was getting it up. Now. Don't wait there, I don't want to wait. I'll come in, here and there, but I'm going to definitely make it in a space.
Dara B. Pamunoya mangwana mnenge makashare change radio. Azvina bava kuti makamboshare. Neuyu anoputa mbanje uyu. Mangwana ukangorova mbanje chete usina kushare change radio anonzi tuboyo. Ukangodzisuta chete uri kubva wapenga nadzo ndatokupa warning. Share change radio. Resistant radio. I mean resistant radio.
Right. All right. And regarding wait, GT Travel, do you want to come in?
Oh, yeah.
Are they leaving us? GT Travel, I'm hearing what is what is playing, in the background.
Like this. Wow.
GT Travel, if you are busy, I'm going to remove you. Guys, you need anything that bad. Too bad.